Ready? All right, because it shows on the clock it's time. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. This is the public meeting for January 26, 2016. We will now call the meeting to order. The first thing for us to do is entertain a motion, if we could, on the adoption of the agenda as presented. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Ledwell. Are there any additions to the agenda beyond this which I see outside? I have one report from planning that I believe will be addressed, I think, under new business. That's going to be, is it? Okay, that's fine. And we have a change, obviously, to the invoices for approval, and that's really about it. Are there any other additions to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried. To the agenda, then, the first thing would be the minutes and the action report of our public council meeting held on January 12th. I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Moved by Councillor Soils, seconded by Councillor Tessier. Are there any errors or omissions from the minutes of January 12th? Errors or omissions? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried. Next item, then, business arising. And again, this is from the meeting of January 12th. Any business arising, I'd ask that you refer to the agenda item attached. Councillor Stoyles.
024, the Kinsman.
024.
The Kinsman anniversary. It's not going to be at the Reed Centre now. They've made a change. It's going to be at Park Place. Just for information, I guess, just that same date, the 20th, and this, you know, they're going to confirm everything, and we will know in the next week or so.
So that's now going to be, they've changed it to where? To Park Place?
Yeah.
From the Reed Community Center?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's because of the construction, is it?
No, it's not because of the construction. They were going to wait until after construction, but apparently hockey or somebody's going to have an event up there that night as well, but they've had a smaller group of people that
decided
they
to
had
move
attended, and they decided to move down there.
Okay, fine enough. Any other business arising? Any other business arising? Going once? Twice? Three times a lady. We are done. Moving on the agenda, then the next item would be proclamations and presentations. Council, we have a couple today. I want to introduce to you a lady in the audience. Her name is Nadine Green. Some of you may know Nadine. She is president of the Canadian Council for the Blind, the Newfoundland and Labrador Division. We've had the honor of putting this proclamation into the record and supporting the initiatives of White Cane Week for a number of years. And we certainly look forward to doing that today. And Nadine, we are going to invite you to come forward with us here, and we're going to give you this microphone and let you talk a little bit about some of the planned events that you have for White Cane Week. So as you make your way up here, Council, I will read the proclamation into the record. This is White Cane Week Proclamation 2016. And it reads as follows. Whereas the first week of February 2016 is recognized as White Cane Week, and whereas White Cane Week aims to remind all Canadians that the traditional white cane is a symbol of independence, not dependence, and that a lack of sight is not a lack of vision. Love that line. And whereas this is the 70th year that this public awareness program has taken place in Canada and reflects the changing situations of people who are blind and visually impaired. And whereas White Cane Week is a program of the Canadian Council of the Blind, which has acted as the voice of the blind for over 70 years. And whereas the Canadian Council of the Blind asks that service providers remove barriers that limit the fullness of life for our fellow blind and visually impaired citizens. Therefore, I, Randy Sims, Mayor of the City of Mount Pearl, do hereby proclaim the week of February 7th through to the 13th as White Cane Week. And with that, I shall affix a signature. And Ms. Green, I am going to invite you to speak here on this microphone, give us some idea of some of the plans for White Cane Week 2016.
So we have a full week of events planned. On February the 8th, there's going to be a cribbage tournament between Lions and visually impaired people. A lot of CCB members, but you don't have to be a member. And then on the 9th, there is a goal ball game going on at the Mon Phys Ed building, and a lot of people don't know what goalball is, but it's a really fun game, and everyone should get out and try it. It's 5 to 7 p.m. at the Phys Ed building. Basically, it doesn't matter how good or bad your eyesight is, everyone can play this game. And then, what do we have? There is going to be a bowling on Saturday the 13th, and that is at St. Pat's Lanes between Lyons and the visually impaired community. And again, everyone's welcome to come to any of these events and find out more about the Canadian Council of the Blind, and also the Canadian Council of the Blind for the Eastern Newfoundland and Labrador meets every third Monday of the month at the CNIB 70th Boulevard, and everyone's welcome. That's from 7 to 9. So yeah, it's a pretty full week, and I have some handouts and schedules of events, and they're here for people to take if they want them. And thank you very much, and we're pleased to the City of Mount Pearl supports us, the blind and visually impaired community.
Well, thank you, Nadine, very much, and we appreciate and we consider it an honor as a city to be able to sign a proclamation like this one today and put it into the record and encourage our citizens to participate in what sounds like a pretty active week, which goes to prove to the point that is actually written in the proclamation that this is about independence, not dependence. And I would just say to you, in the last week alone in the city of Mount Pearl, there was a very unique workshop about universal design and making our community more inclusive for all. One of the areas that did get raised in the morning session that I had the honor to attend was the issue of, we think in terms of mobility all the time, people in wheelchairs, walkers, and using canes. But there is a recognition as well that inclusivity in this instance obviously means also recognizing people who are both hearing and visually impaired and facing some of those challenges. How do we make our community even more inclusive than it is? So I thank you very much for coming and participating with us today. I want to wish you and the council the best of luck with your week. And I'm going to get you to stand here with me now and have our likeness taken. Okay? Yeah. I'll take that out of your hand there. Sure. Now, you and I are going to hold on to this. Okay. I'm going to take your hand like this, and we're going to look out and smile as best we can for Mr. Silver over here. All done? There you go. Nadine, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Council, any comments at all? Councillor Tessier.
Nadine, you were involved when we're doing our paratransit review, were you not? Yes, that's how I met you. Just for the information of council and senior staff, Nadine was a really active member when we had a public gathering session up at Kenmount Park, and Nadine was there, and she was a great participant and gave us some really, really good insights, some good tips, some good information. So I wanted to thank her for doing that and participating.
Okay. Thank you, Nadine, very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Nadine.
Wonderful. The Canadian Council for the Blind doing tremendous work, you know, and advocating on behalf of people with visual challenges in our community, and it's one of the areas that we're looking at, part of this Universal Design Initiative, which we're going to speak about, I think, in a little more detail a little later. I do have a proclamation here, Council. We have no one to speak to it today, but it's the Heritage Day proclamation for 2016. It reads that whereas the third Monday in February is recognized provincially as Heritage Day, and whereas Heritage Day is a time to reflect on the achievements of past generations and to accept responsibility for protecting our heritage, and whereas our citizens should be encouraged to celebrate Newfoundland and Labrador's uniqueness and to rejoice in their heritage and environment, and whereas in 2016 the residents of Newfoundland and Labrador will celebrate their rich and diverse heritage, therefore, I, Mayor Randy Sims, on behalf of the City of Mount Pearl, proclaim Monday, February 15, 2016, as Heritage Day, call upon all citizens to celebrate the richness of our past and the promise of our future, and I'm going to affix to that our signature. And certainly we have every intention of participating in and recognizing on an ongoing basis our heritage. But, you know, we got to get a holiday out of it, don't we? We need the Heritage Day holiday. Deputy Mayor, you wanted to
I just had a question, Your
speak?
Worship, as
Yep.
I'm thinking through this. I'm just wondering if our Admiralty House, I'm sure they know of this date, and
Oh, my goodness, yes.
if there's anything that we can check to see that they may be doing on that particular day. I think it's a great opportunity for us to open up Admiralty House to the community at large, and certainly try to incorporate maybe some school activities, get some of the school children down to our Admiralty
I
House
like
on
that.
that
It's a
particular
good
day.
idea.
So,
I guess we would turn to Mr. Collins. Director Collins, that's something that I think you could check out for us and see what plans they have. We'll promote them and participate where we can. It is immediately following Winter Carnival, I think. Yes. Right? It's going to immediately follow Frosty Festival. Okay, thank you for that. We'll also see that gets to the a copy of that gets to the appropriate folks. All right, what have I done? Have I done anything here bad? I have not. Okay, the third item that we have under proclamations and presentations today, there's a strange fellow in the room. Most of you would recognize him. Of course, I'm referring to Wayne Andrews. And along with Wayne, of course, Wayne is this year's chair of Frosty Festival. I said today at a luncheon, Wayne, that this was number 34. You're right. I am right. Whew. Thank you, Andrew. You were good. Andrew threw the number out at me when I stopped inside. He said 34. It's good. And of course, alongside him is Frosty. I'm going to invite you guys to come on up here with me, if you would. And again, we're going to do the very same thing we did with Nadine, Wayne. We're going to invite you to use this microphone here and talk a little bit about all of the activities that you have planned for Frosty Festival 34, which is starting February 4th. Really, February 3rd, technically, I think.
No.
4th is the bingo night. Okay. Okay, there you go, guys. So, Mr. Chairman, enlighten us on all of the activities planned for this year's Frosty Festival Carnival.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Deputy Mayor and councillors. Certainly a pleasure to be here with Frosty. And as you know, Frosty doesn't talk a lot, so I'll speak on Frosty's behalf today. I had to make a few notes so I wouldn't forget anything. As you get older, you tend to do that, right?
Heaven help us, we know that's true.
This year, the festival will run from February the 4th to the 14th. Opening ceremonies are scheduled for February the 5th at the Glacier from 7 to 7:30, followed by a show for all ages titled Circus Glorious. It'll feature Wonderbolt Circus with Kellyanne Evans, a live band, and the company of Etc. Promises to be a very entertaining, very much so, I think, as we had last year. The kitchen party the following evening also has a great lineup, with headliners the Masterless Men featuring the Irish Descendants and the Navigators. Another great lineup, great night. So in addition to all of our other core traditional events, such as the Saturday breakfasts, the senior visits, the bingo, the jigs dinner, variety show, lip sync, and I can go on and on about the events. We have expanded on a couple of events and also added a few events, including a 5K run. Right
Yeah,
now-
okay, I'm not doing that. Just I want you to know right from the start. I'll cheer someone on.
The 5K run follows the Valentine's dance the following morning, so hopefully we'll see an early start.
You didn't just make it hard, you made it really hard.
We also followed on that Sunday afternoon. On that Sunday, we have an afternoon of outdoor activity with snowshoeing, ice carving, snow sculpture competition, and a toboggan decorating contest, and a couple of other things. So it's going to be a great Saturday afternoon, evening, Sunday afternoon, evening. I'm sorry, we moved it from a Saturday to a Sunday, and then that evening, to end the festival, will be an evening with Kevin Collins at the Church of Ascension in Basin. So that should be a nice evening to clue everything up. I'm pleased to report that our ticket sales are going extremely well, with a lot of events now are sold out.
Already? Wow.
Our online ticket sales, again, was a tremendous success this year.
That's excellent, eh?
Yeah. And our box office was busy for a few days. The box office is starting to slow down now, so we may shut the box office down probably this Sunday.
How's the bingo going?
The bingo
First night?
first night? Oh, that's going good, yeah. Now, a lot of those tickets, it's difficult with the bingo to tell how many tickets because, or how many people are going to, because it's all, they buy the books, so it's difficult to say how many are actually going to be there. The walk up to that, yeah, is a pretty big, pretty big. So we're expecting a big crowd that night. There's a fair number of booklets or tickets for the booklets already sold out there, right, in the community. Of course, I want to mention that pulling off such a successful festival involves many contributions from many people, a lot of volunteers, our sponsors, and our government partners, including the City of Mount Pearl. And as you know, we have an MOU that provides for some of the cost and some of the facilities, and we really appreciate the help. Working with the Community Services Department of Council has been very good. I would like to acknowledge, though, talking about the community services aspect, is the staff at the Reed Center and the Glacier. Really want to acknowledge the support and the patience that these staff had, because Frosty sort of comes in like, we often say, it comes in like a hurricane and rolls out like a hurricane, and we leave a big mess behind, sort of thing. And I must say the staff are really very, very patient and supportive of us.
Wonderful.
So, there you have it. We have 60 events over 11 days. We certainly have something for everyone, and we believe we have another great festival for the community to enjoy. I know that council will be participating and attending a number of events throughout the festival, and I look forward to seeing you all throughout the week, as does Frosty.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Frosty, for coming in today. We are always excited when it comes Winter Carnival time, and we were at the launch the other day, and that was an exceptional experience, an indication that Winter Carnival is going through some kind of a metamorphosis, a renewal. There's a different sense about all of these activities and things that go on, and after 34 years, that's quite a compliment to the volunteers and to the corporate sponsors and the people who actually make it happen. I said at that time, and I'll say it on behalf of council again, we do have an understanding of how much of a commitment this takes. And I've heard chair after chair, including yourself, sir, say that Carnival ends, and by April, you've already started again to get ready for the next one. And it's that kind of commitment that's made this one of the most successful Winter Carnivals in the country, and one that Mount Pearl is most proud of. We appreciate your work and your effort, and council will be out in all their glory to participate. There is only one event that you did not mention, which I'm glad that you didn't,
Battle of Brains.
because it's a terribly, terribly, terribly disappointing thing to me that my councilors don't hold the same ability as I do, or we'd win that Battle of the Brains thing. I'm not even going to get a rise out of them. Look on all that, right? What have we lost it 3 years in a row? Didn't we lose it? Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, okay, you got me. Okay. How many 2 years now the same group won it? Yes. Okay, can we break them up? Can Frosty break them up?
I don't know, Frosty. I don't think so.
The reason for the rink people from CBS come down here and they clean our clocks.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but they're all rigged. They're all rigged. They got all the questions. They got all the questions in advance. It's going to be a fun week. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it, Wayne. Thank you. Thank you, Frosty. Okay, that's great.
Okay.
A lot of stuff for the kids is really the main thing, and
See you, Frosty.
and
Are
sometimes
you going to get a picture?
sometimes over Winter Carnival. Well, if we're going to get a picture, we got to have all the council together. All right, let's get a picture with all the council. Come on. I like that thought. I like that idea. Thank you, guys.
See you guys. Thanks so much.
We all get to be children for a week. What? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's all. And then we got to grow up. Then we got to grow up again. Go back to work, stuff like that. A day has been added, actually.
Yes.
When you think about it, a day has been added. Hmm? Oh yeah, that's a good fundraiser for them. Okay. Yep. Okay, back to the agenda we go. We have no correspondence to table tonight in the public chamber, so we will move to our committee reports, corporate and community services. Councillor Stoyles.
Invoices for approval, $1,503,392.30, and there's a revised copy on everybody's desk.
Going to
And
say
I so moved.
$1,000,005.
Yes.
Okay, there's got to be a couple of big numbers in here.
It is gymnastics.
Gymnastics is 567.
Municipal Assessment Agency.
I-
Avalon Salt.
Yeah, there's big
Salt.
ones there. Have we made a motion? You've made the
I
motion.
made
Who
the
seconded the motion?
Andrew.
Councillor Ledwell. Okay, good. We can talk about this for a second then. Can I ask about this vehicle renewal policy? Is that not? What's that? I can't recall seeing a thing for insurance this high before.
It's that's not actually just our vehicle renewal. That's our vehicle, our liability, etc. Back a few years ago, it was around $400,000. We went out to market and had it drop down into the mid threes, but it's kind of crept back up with the addition of new equipment and with some new buildings. That Summit, for example, has been brought on since. So it's
Okay, so our buildings and that insurance is included.
So that's insurance on all our buildings. It's all our liability insurance. It's directors, officers insurance. Basically, every piece of insurance.
That's insurance in case we screw up. Director's liability insurance is if we screw up, right?
Well, I'm looking at the bottom one. The bottom one is a number of different. Just let me double check.
I was looking at the 302. I wasn't noticing the 118.
Yeah, the top one, the 118 is the auto. The rest of it's the liability. general
Ah, okay,
liability.
that's why I'm, okay,
Yep.
all right.
Yep.
I got it. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Director Silver. Haven't made him a counselor yet today, have I? It's Stefan I do that with. Any other questions on any of the invoices? Hearing none, invoices 1 to 14, we have it moved and seconded. All those in favor of approval? Contrary minded say nay. Motion is carried.
Next item is we have one uncollectible account. The number is there 9938, and the amount is $2,529.84, and I will so move.
Moved, seconded. Question or comment? Hearing none, all those in favor? Contrary minded, motion's carried.
Next item is a tax deferral for low-income earners, and the number is there 398, and the amount is $386.69, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
And next item is St. John Ambulance MOU, and it's for $3,000 in accordance with our policy that we have for fee-for-services for 2016, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
Tag team.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Councillor Stoyles. Continuing on with our report for corporate and community services, we have a couple of requests here for professional development and training. First, we have a request from Councillor Aker to attend the 2016 APWA North American Snow Conference from May 22nd to the 26th of the year 2016. This request is indeed in accordance with the professional development and training policy of the City of Mount Pearl. The committee has had a look at the request, and certainly we do recommend that approval be granted that Councillor Aker attend this event, and I so move.
Moved, seconded by Councillor Stoyles. Question or comment? All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Our second request for professional development and training is a request from our Chief Administrative Officer, Ms. Peach, to attend the Provincial Municipal Administrators Conference in Clarenville on January 29th of 2016. Again, this is a request that is in accordance with our training policy, and as a committee we do recommend that Ms. Peach be granted approval to attend, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. Questions? All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Next item, really what's left to be said about the Frosty Festival. I think Wayne and Frosty did a fantastic job outlining all of the big events. Just want to encourage everybody, I guess, to get out and enjoy the festival, all of the events. I want to say a thank you to all of the volunteers, the board of directors, community groups, sponsors, and all of the partners and the businesses in the city for putting so much into the Frosty Festival each and every year. And the schedule of events, of course, is available at frostyfestival.ca or in the booklet which gets distributed to all of the homes in the city.
Yep.
Next item is an update. We've got a hypothermic half marathon, and this is another run, Your Worship, that I won't be doing most likely. On Sunday, February 7th, the hypothermic half marathon will be happening in the city. The Running Room will be holding this as an annual event in the streets of Mount Pearl. Just want to let council and the public know that the event will start at the Shriners Club on Topsail Road. It will run on the Coruscant Drive, Clyde Avenue, Sagona Avenue, Glencoe Drive, Bruce Street, Old Placentia Road, Richard Nolan Drive, Commonwealth Avenue, Park Avenue, Duns Road, and then finish up once again at the Shriners Club on Topsail Road. The RNC is going to be involved with leading the race. There's volunteers and marshals that are going to be in place at each of the intersections along the route, and our municipal enforcement officers will be involved in the event again. So everything should be on the safe side, and we want to wish all of the runners involved best of luck.
What time of the day is that going to happen, Councillor? Do you know?
That, I believe, happens in the morning.
It's in the morning,
Director
is
Collins.
it?
Yeah.
8 a.m. Okay.
8 a.m. It's an early one.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And finally, to conclude our report, just want to make mention of our Neighborhood Watch program. We had a very successful meeting and an appreciation reception for those residents that are currently involved in our Neighborhood Watch program. Of course, we have 4 or 5 neighborhoods that have had great success in uptaking this particular program. This past Wednesday, we had a little event and a meeting with all of those volunteers. It went very well. Certainly we want to encourage other neighborhoods and other residents to get involved with this Neighborhood Watch program. For more information, they can contact our Municipal Enforcement Division at 748-1082 or through email at neighborhoodwatch@mountpearl.ca, and let's all do our part to make our city safer.
Absolutely. I have to say that little event they had, which was really a social event, to bring together the groups that were there, I thought that went really, really well. Constable, do we call them constables? Do we call our municipal enforcement officers constables? We just call them officers, don't we? Officer Danielle Kraviatz and our superintendent, Superintendent Tilley, they were there. Danielle has taken on the role of promoting Neighborhood Watch. She teaches it and puts the programs together, and I thought that she did a masterful job, and I hope that that got passed on to her by senior staff here. I know that Superintendent Tilley had a few words to say, but I'm hoping that we all give her a pat on the back for a job really well done. I thought it was an excellent evening and an excellent event. Too small a room, which was wonderful. We were stuffed in there. There's no doubt about that. Councillor Stoyles.
Just wondered maybe if we could look at nominating of a peace officer here that's coming up now in February, and maybe that'd be a good opportunity. I mean, all the work she's done with Neighbourhood Watch and in the community and vandalism and everything, maybe it would be an opportunity for us to put
Look
her
at that.
to put her name forward and have the committee check it out and see if it's
If it's possible,
if it's
even.
possible.
Yeah, it'd be different. All right, thank you for that. That concludes that committee report, then, I'm assuming. Infrastructure Public Works, Councillor Aker.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Quickly on the Neighborhood Watch program, the nice thing too was that there was a number of people there that are not part of an existing committee who are thinking about forming up a committee.
Yes.
So they could share all the experiences of the 4 or 5 that were in the room, and it's a great way to reinforce those who've already got up and running, and also to get people interested, because the question always is, how do we get started? And one lady told the story where she started the one over there in the part of Mount Pearl over by Mayor Queen of the World, but she said the only way to do that, across the street, as she said, I couldn't get anybody to sign up, so I decided one day there's one way into that subdivision. She said, I put on a skirt and I put up a sign and I said,
Sign it
like
up.
a winter's day, have you signed up yet? Yeah. Every car coming into the subdivision stopped, and every car she stopped, she got signed up, right?
Yeah.
So I think it was a winter's day, yeah. But it was an attention getting gimmick, yes, yeah. Anyway, on
And
to
it worked.
city business, or further city business.
Sure.
Infrastructure Public Works action items. Number 1 is a change order related to the depot indoor air quality project We have 3 RCOs there, and they all have to do with the quality of air in the welding bay, as well as to mitigate the water and snow that are entering through the grills. Further snow baffles in the mechanical service bays to mitigate water and snow entering the grills, as well as the addition of a hose reel and some exhaust fans in the relocation, an extension within the fleet servicing area. Total is $73,337. This is primarily driven by occupational health and safety, and I would recommend that we approve these RCOs here today. So I move that, Your Worship.
If moved by Councillor Aker, seconded by Councillor Tessier. I just have one question. I'm assuming that this is an expansion to the actual original contract.
It is.
And the original contract was awarded to Airtight Sheet Metal?
Agreed.
Is that correct? So that contract has gone from 163 to 237. I know that we're allowed to do things like this, but are we not limited to like a 25% increase or something of that nature? Is that how that goes before you've got to go out and look to the market? This seems to be a large change. Council, well, I was going to make you councillor now. Director Adel.
Don't do that.
There is a limit in the Public Tender Act according to the change orders that we can issue. In the Public Tender Act, it says with the approval of council, you can't exceed that limit.
Okay, so there's a limit in there, but we have a discretion to ignore it.
You have the approval to expand. As officials, we are entitled to authorize change orders up to a certain percentage amount.
And I thought it was around 25%. Was that not the case, or am I wrong on that number?
I don't have the Public Tender Act right in front of me. It's a
I
different
don't
number.
either.
It's a different number for different amounts of contract values.
Yeah, okay.
So in this case, I'm not sure what the number is, but we've come to council.
We didn't
for
check
your,
to see if we
we've come to
exceeded
council
it.
for your approval.
Okay, fine. No, it's just, it looked, it's a big change, right? It's not 10%.
The city's practice is always to come to council with every single change order.
And rightly so.
What Director Antle is saying is technically under the Purchasing Act, sometimes officials are delegated that authority, but in the case, I believe, of the city of Mount Pearl, that has to, every change order does
Comes
come
here.
to council ultimately. So the 25% rule really doesn't apply. I know in other government circles, many of those change orders would not make, for example, they wouldn't hit the House of Assembly.
No, obviously not. All right, any other comment? We'll call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Item number 2 is just some bureaucratese that has to be executed. It's a renumbering of the projects to correct the contracts we have between us and municipal intergovernmental affairs. You see the 4 items listed there. We're just correctly identifying projects 1, 2, 2, 7, 4, 7, 1, 7, 2, and 7, 3, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
Next item is a change in the consulting services, the engineering design services from S&C Lavalin with regards to the Reed Center interior renovations. This project is time sensitive. We want to ensure that the work done to the Reed Center to upgrade it is done at a low point in the operation of that particular facility. So we've already had an original contract of about $147,000, which we executed. So S&C Lavalin have been basically going out and doing that design work. Further, I believe a consultation process occurred with the Community Services Department, Infrastructure and Public Works, as well as the staff and some of the users of the Reed Center. And you can see the additional scope of work that's coming out of that process ranges from general neutral washrooms to upgrades of the existing office suites. And you can see the list right there: exterior lighting, security cameras, some conversion of the quarter 118, whatever that is, to a kitchen preparation area. And all of this adds up to $27,811, and I would move change order number 1 under that contract, Your Worship, please.
Moved and seconded. Question, Councillor Ledwell?
Not that I don't support this work, because it's obviously something that needs to be done, but just a question. I wonder, given that Councillor Stoyles advised us earlier that the Kinsman event is going to be moved, is there an opportunity here to move up some of this work, or hockey already has an event happening there? Oh, okay.
I think it was a conflict.
Somebody's booked in.
All right, just
It's a conflict in dates, so to speak, right? And I think they both groups worked together to get, I guess, the matching facility for the numbers of people. But I wouldn't look at this as a change order. I look at this more, Your Worship, as we had a phase 1, and now we've got a phase 2.
This is kind of an expansion.
And it's all within budget. And,
Yep, it's all fine.
I wouldn't say it's time sensitive for the purposes of rushing this decision. It's time sensitive in that we got S&C Lavalin working on the first part of the contract a lot earlier than now.
Yeah. Where did the general the gender-neutral bathroom come from? Was that always in the plan?
Community services.
I'm just, I know this is getting to be a big deal in different venues and whatnot. I like the idea. It's just that I don't recall seeing it anywhere in the plan, or did I miss it?
It was based on some discussions we had this past fall.
Is this the addition of another bathroom, or are we renovating a bathroom?
We're retrofitting an area off the hallway in the Reed Center to have a general neutral
Oh,
washroom.
okay, that's what we're doing. There's not
Correct.
an addition. Yeah, because I said for $27,000 to do all that plus another bathroom couldn't be. Prices are really good. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.
My turn. Okay, oh my goodness, I just cut it out. Okay. Some project updates. The Campia Gymnastics Facility, has anybody driven by recently?
It's getting there.
I tell you, it's looking sharp. The water and sanitary has been connected to the city system. There's some civil works being completed. Curb and asphalt work. We're going to start that over the course of the winter, Director. It's done. When I read that, I kind of went, really? Yeah. So the prefabricated superstructure and siding, of course, is currently being installed. We can all see that as we go by. It's approximately 47% complete, and the completion date is May 2016. Can you believe that? The last snowflake will be melted, and we'll be cutting a ribbon.
How good is that?
Yeah, it's very, very good. As far as our multi-year capital works program is concerned, we've got the RFPs for engineering services that have been issued for Topsail Road and Black Marsh Road upgrading, Commonwealth Avenue, Sunrise Avenue upgrading as well. You discussed that today, sir, in your mayor's speech. So that's some exciting work that's going to be happening. I say it's going to be exciting, but it's going to cause some delays, of course, when it happens, but it's necessary, as you said, to make a mess to have improvements.
That's it.
St. David's Park redevelopment, the tender package is projected to be ready for early February. So that's so far on track. Again, that's going to be something that we're going to really look forward to seeing some of the construction and some of the work happening over the course of the summer. Wouldn't it be wonderful if some of it was done in time for Memorial Day? I doubt that it will happen.
Well, let's hope.
But you never know.
We're hoping.
This is a big year. So
You never know. This is a big year, isn't it? This is a very big year for that. Anyway, don't feel any pressure, but just enough. Just enough pressure. Panic. What is it? The expression "panic helps you focus." The Reed Community Center renovations. The design is ongoing. The projected timeline for the final design and public tender is early April of 2016. Admiralty House Annex renovations, again, ongoing. Projected timeline for final design and public tender package is late February of this year. That's going to be a beautiful addition to the Admiralty House once it's completed. I know that the arts community is going to be very excited to have it, and I believe that the museum itself will be able to better utilize the space for different maybe traveling displays or goodness knows what, traveling exhibits. Anyway, it's going to be really, really a really great addition to the Admiralty House area. Enhancement of asset management, the projected time frame for completion of stage 1, the gap analysis is mid-February of this year. Winter maintenance, my gosh, it didn't seem like that long ago that we were here talking about how we didn't have any snow. And we still don't have a whole lot, but we got enough. We have enough. Snow clearing and ice control is continuing through regular and extended winter maintenance shifts as required. Of course, our priority is our main streets and our school zones and our city facility entrances and exits and parking lots. During the cleanup operations after snowfall, the priorities are determined, of course, based on safety, as they should, and recognizing the need to ensure clearing or removal of snow to maintain full street widths, to curb fire lanes and are clear in buildings and the parking areas are clear, including, of course, as we brought up last year, we started really putting a focus on this, our attention to accessible parking spaces and ramps, and ice control, of course, is a big factor there as well. Sidewalk clearing and hydrant clearing and cul-de-sac snow removal is also happening right now. And trail grooming is happening, which is pretty neat. I know that over the course of the weekend, the director was saying that some trail grooming happened, and many of our residents expressed absolute delight with that because there's a lot of snowshoeing happening now and skiing. That's a lot of snowshoeing. That's become a real great winter activity.
That's what we did growing up.
Absolutely. But you know what? The snowshoes are very different now. Like back when we were growing up, remember you'd have like those the wooden ones? They're right teardrops. They're like tennis rackets.
They were like teardrops, yeah.
But now they're lightweight and custom fit, and they're very fancy. And people are utilizing our trails to use them, so we're really thrilled about that.
Great.
We want to remind motorists to definitely use caution when they're approaching intersections. We're doing our very best to get the banks pushed back as best we can, but again, we can't catch it coming down, and sometimes priorities take us into different directions. So, of course, we are absolutely encouraging motorists to be very, very careful when they're approaching intersections for that reason. Snow means slow. The director's got that in bold, so I better say it. Snow definitely and absolutely does mean slow. I don't want to get in trouble with the director. But it's exceptional advice, as we all know.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Tessier. We're moving on to Planning and Development Committee report. In the absence of Councillor Walsh, Councillor Ledwell will serve. Deputy Mayor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just back to our snow grooming. I mean, is that we're pulling that behind our snowmobile and sort of the flatten it out for stuff like that?
Yes.
Good. Also about the winter maintenance, Your Worship, just to mention that we did get some nice emails complimenting our that was sent to all of council from some of our residents, just how expedient and thorough, and so kudos to the workers that get out there and do that on a regular basis for us. Thank you, Your Worship. The first item for our committee today has to do with a written request that the city has received from the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and this is in relation to a development permit that they applied for and were issued on February the 10th of 2014. This permit has expired, so their written request is to extend this development permit for another year. They're looking at their property up on Kenmount Road, and they want to develop the land and construct a building up there. Oh, sugar! I hit the wrong button.
Do you need mine?
Sorry, no, I'm back. I went right up to the agenda again. Sorry about that. So as I said, this permit was issued in 2014. The applicant is maintaining that they're going to continue with the development that they proposed. Nothing has changed, and they want to proceed with it as soon as the circumstances allow. Essentially, they're waiting to hear back from the CRTC with approval to switch from AM transmission to FM transmission before they proceed with the construction of their new building. Again, they're not seeking any application. It is within our development regulations, Your Worship, to extend such a permit for another period of time not exceeding 1 year. So the department is recommending renewal of this permit, and our committee supports that recommendation. So as such, our recommendation is that we renew the development permit DP 14-007 to the Seventh-day Adventist Church for 1 more year, and I so move.
1 more year. Moved, seconded by Councillor Ledwell. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll call the matter. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded, motion is carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. The next item, let's get to it. There we go. Here you go. The next item, Your Worship, is another application, a development permit application by the property owner of the property at 1.5 Wyatt Boulevard. Council may remember that this came before council some years back. The property owner wishes to relocate an existing dwelling from 343 Kenmount Road, and the city previously issued a development permit for this proposal, but again, this expired, and they now require to submit a new application. They purchased the lot, the property owner, in 2008. They built the foundation, as again council I'm sure will remember. The existing permit, or the previous permit, expired on August 26th of 2015, and on December 18th the city received another completed development permit application to proceed with this development. Again, our city inspectors have had a look at this, our engineering services division, our finance division, the planning services division, and the department has no objections to this relocation, again, to 1.5 Wyatt Boulevard, and the committee also supports the recommendation, and as such we are recommending approval of the application to relocate an existing dwelling from 343 Kenmount Road to the existing foundation at 1.5 Wyatt Boulevard, and we recommend that the development permit be issued subject to the conditions that are outlined there, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. Question or comment?
Yep.
Councillor Aker.
Thank you. I have a concern. This has been on the books in one way or another since 2008. We have a basement that is mostly filled in, but it's not a flat, perfectly level lot. It's not a nice thing to see in a neighborhood, so I would ask two things. One, if we had a contractor developing in a subdivision, not a house relocation, would we leave a basement there? What would our rules be in terms of our regular subdivision? Because I'm supportive of this application, but I'm not supportive if it's from the point of view that the proponent, all they want to do is just renew this for another year or two. So my next question would be, how long would be the timeline? Would it be issued for a year? And what I would suggest to council is, could we shorten that time frame up to ensure that this is acted upon sooner rather than later? It's not nice in the neighborhood. I really don't think it's in character with our overall development regulations, and I do believe council, departmental staff have worked with the proponent, since 2008 to try to get this done. I'm just looking for a little bit of resolution, so I'm kind of keen to see this development permit issued. I think that's a positive thing. But I'm not interested in seeing it drag out for another year or two. And I wonder, like I said, if this was a regular subdivision, would we leave a basement sitting there for 8 years or so that it's been sitting there roughly? 6 years at least? Post 8 years, I think, since the permit was initially issued. So I guess basically, is this just a procedure to renew the permit, or does the proponent actually intend on this winter, I'll say, do they intend on relocating that house?
I'm not sure if we can defer to...
Mr. Yefchak?
Your Worship and Councillor Aker, the applicant has actually approached the city to renew the permit. We understand that he is really now interested in, he always has been interested in moving forward with it. But in regards to the current application, he is interested in going forward and actually doing some this year. Now, in respect to your other question about can we reduce the time of the development permit, the regulations allow council to issue a development permit for 2 years, which is what we do, and renew it for up to an additional 1 year. This is kind of the additional 1 year. So if council has an interest in reducing the amount of time, that would be council's prerogative. But the applicant has not indicated to us exactly when he would do this. And I guess I would also suggest to you that probably this won't be done until the weather clears up, because in the wintertime it's very difficult to move a dwelling. So I think I've answered all your questions there.
What about the existing subdivision we were building? The developer was building a house, stopped at the basement.
The only thing that we would ensure in that regard is that the lot is actually secured, so that it's not a safety issue. And I believe we had actually approached the developer of this lot for that same control. I don't know if and I can't say if he has fencing up and all that around the lot, but that certainly would have been a requirement.
That was a concern. I remember, because it started to fill in, remember, there was concerns that children may fall into it and stuff like that.
That's right.
So, sorry, our mayor had to step out, so I had to jump into the chair in case anybody's wondering what happened with the switcheroo here.
I had a
Councillor
question.
Stoyles?
Is this the only one, or is there another one in the city with the same thing? This is the only one of a kind that
Right.
we have. I thought there was one down the other part of Mount Pearl there, and Forest area, not on Forest. There's one of the streets there, and Delaney, or one of them, that there's a basement done, the hole was there. I know last year I called about it and passed on to the department. You might not even find it down there in the snow now, because unless you knew exactly what it was. That's what I was wondering, if this one, how long that one has been there, because the residents had, I know 2 years ago, we made them fill in the hole down. Is it Delaney? Is one then?
I think it is.
It's right off of Park anyway.
It's Orchard, actually.
Orchard, and it's down there the same thing. There was no foundation in this one. It was just hole dug and sticks put up where they had the stuff there to put the foundation in. So it's really two that we need to look at. And if we're going to put policies in place to do it, if we're going to make changes, maybe we should look at that one as well.
Okay, yep. Director Yefchak?
I'll have to take a look in terms of the Orchard Avenue. I'm not too sure if that's actually a relocation or if they started work and they ran into some problems. But in response to your comment, Councillor Stoyles, you mentioned about the policies in place. I don't know if that, are you suggesting a different policy than we're dealing with right now? Because at the current time, what we're doing is complying with the current policy and regulations in place. So if there's a desire to change, then that's, I guess, something different from,
You know, I don't
My
think,
understanding, right?
I don't think we're looking for any change in current policy. I think Councillor Aker was just looking at, you know, what is the duration? How long will this new permit be allowed to stand before any action is taken? Am I correct on that,
Your Worship,
Councillor
I was
Aker?
thinking about offering that maybe it should be reviewed again by council in 6 months' time to try to make sure we remain in contact not only with staff but also with the proponent.
Sure.
Because my concern is we're just
It could drag on for another 8 years.
renewing this for the sake of.
Right, yeah.
So that was my concern. I think
Councillor Tesser, you had a comment to make or
Yep.
question?
In my time, now obviously this has been done probably before many times, but in my time I've never seen a house actually relocated, brought from one location to another. So I'm wondering, is this a situation where city inspectors get involved after the actual house has been delivered? I'm actually, in my head, got a great visual of a house being carted up Kenmount Road
Yeah.
down to White Boulevard. I've never seen it. I've never heard of it being done in an urban environment like this. So I'm just wondering, is that a situation where our inspectors get involved as well to ensure that everything is structurally as it should be?
It's not unprecedented.
No, of course not.
Director Yevchak?
Your Worship and Councillor Tester, our inspectors have been quite involved with this. As a matter of fact, not only have our inspectors, but also members of the Engineering Services Division. We've actually gone down to, what the gentleman wishes to do is move a house from Kenmount Road in St. John's to this location. What he did was he put a foundation in place that is the same building footprint as the house that's been brought here. What's happened is our staff have actually gone down to the Kenmount Road location. They've taken a look at the building and the structure. They have made, they've done their inspection, they've made recommendations in terms of the integrity of the building and how to move. And actually, the gentleman on that site has actually made improvements to the exterior facade of the building in anticipation of moving it. Now, that was, I'm going to say, within the past couple of years, 3 years. The other thing that we've also done is we've taken a look at the existing foundation to see if it's still in a state that is still acceptable in terms of using the foundation to place the house on top of it. When the house is actually moved, excuse me, we will do our normal inspections, ensure that the dwelling is connected properly and attached and is structurally sound when the actual building is ready for occupancy. So there has been a lot of work on our side.
Councillor Tesser?
I just want to make a further point to that. Okay, so when the house is being delivered, is there a need, or will there be a need to close the street? Like, I'm just trying to picture in my head how this is all going to work. Like, the house is being delivered on a flatbed or on something, and there's going to be a large crane there, I suspect, to lift the house and put it in place. Will the street need to be closed, and what kind of notification are we going to give to the residents in that area? I think this is something that people should probably know about. They should know that it's going to happen.
Absolutely. Mr.
So-
Yevchak, you're going to answer that, and then I'm going to Councillor Aker.
Your Worship, there will be, it will be obviously brought on a flatbed. There will be, there's wires in the area, and they've got special attention in terms of, the electrical wires and so on. The people will be notified. Our MEOs are also involved in the process, as are the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, as is as well Transportation and Works, because I believe that part of Kenmount Road is also their responsibility. So there's a whole series of agencies involved in the actual movement of that dwelling. So, all that you've mentioned, when it actually occurs, there'll be things put in place to notify the residents, and clearly the road will be closed. Yeah, to make them aware of what's going on, and make sure that everything is in a safe and proper manner. Correct.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Aker?
Yeah, I recall when I first got on council, I believe we had worked with the proponent to change our planning department's policies as it relates to doing this kind of development. We actually were working with the proponent. We had everything lined up with the original permit. This was something new for the city. And as both Councillor Tessier and Director Yevchak said, there's a lot involved with this, but we got assurance at the time that the proponent will handle this properly. But I'm going to make, with the indulgence of the committee, I hope it's taken, it is a friendly amendment. I wonder, I can only think in my mind, Your Worship, that maybe we should have a 6-month expiry date on this permit renewal, if only so we can bring it back to our table, so we can keep it in view. I'm not trying to be punitive, I just want to make sure that we're not sitting here this time next year after 1 year's up, and we're still waiting for that house to be moved. So my friendly amendment would be, and I think the director's pointed out that if the council has the discretion, instead of renewing for a year, we could renew for less, and I would make a motion, friendly amendment, I should say, for 6 months.
Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded,
That only
okay.
brings to-
Speaking to the amendment that the permit would be renewed for half the period of time.
Yes.
I'd like to.
Deputy Mayor.
Well, Councillor Tessier raised a good point there. That'll bring us to June. Is that adequate time? Should we extend it to probably the end of August? I don't know. I'm just looking for construction and the process for this.
I'm trying to be practical, not punitive,
I understand.
but I'm okay with 8 months. or 9 months.
I just think June is just such a short amount of time to have everything in place to make it happen.
Move that house
Yeah.
to August.
August or
Yeah.
September
Oh, yeah.
is probably more reasonable.
That's my question. What about August?
How about we leave it at a year then?
I want to make sure it comes back to the table. I agree, I know where you're coming from.
I mean, you're recognizing that there's a reality to this relating to spring.
No, the house is
You can move a house, but I don't think that foundation is necessarily prepared for that, right? So the question of, do we make it 6 months, given at the time of year at which we're saying it, does 6 months seem reasonable, or should you just leave it at the year, given it's January that we're talking about this? Councillor Tessier?
Can we meet in the middle?
6 months is the middle.
No, can we meet in the middle of 6 months in a year? If we look at 9 months, that'll take us to like August, June, July, August, that'll take us to August. So then after August into September, we're heading back into some dicey weather, but there's still time. If someone still needs to do it, there's still an opportunity to do it. So we can force their hand on that if that's the case, instead of waiting another full winter. Suddenly it's winter again and we can't do it. Sorry, the weather is not cooperating. So if we get us as far as August or September, there's still time to put the pressure on to have the house moved or dissolve the permit
8 months
entirely.
it is. So moved.
What do you think?
Everybody satisfied with 9 months? Well, I'm looking at the mover and the seconder. You're okay with this? Director Yevchek?
Just for clarification, are you looking at a specific month that you want this matter to come back if it's not done, or do you want to time it, because 9 months I think goes beyond
Well,
the
August.
summer, and I guess my point is if you're looking at dealing with the application before next fall or next winter sets in, you may want to give a specific month rather than
Well, what is 9 months from the 1st of February, March, April, May, June, July,
October.
August? You're looking at by the end of September 30th.
It's too late then.
That's the
because then
point.
we won't have a chance to react.
Yeah.
Thank you.
End of August.
I'll move August 31st.
August 31st, you're okay with it?
Yeah.
The motion, the amendment, is that it be to August 31st. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, the amendment carries. The main motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, that too carries.
Okay.
Moving on, next item.
Okay.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, by the way, for stepping in
No
there
worries.
for me. That was an
No
important,
worries.
that was an important call that I had to grab. I didn't realize it was coming in when it did. So
I have your back. You know that.
you have my, and I appreciate it.
No
Life
worries.
happens, man.
But I was just going
Life
to be,
happens.
before you call the question there, Your Worship, I wasn't quick enough on my trigger finger.
On the button.
We did move, Councillor Tessier is wondering about how this transpires. Back in my younger years in Mount Pearl, we did move a house on Holden Street. Because I remember as a younger kid, that was probably in the, I'm going to say very early 80s, maybe late 70s. And yes, they did close the streets. Yes, they did have to come down and get all the cars. This as a kid, it was a spectacle to see this. It was moved on to Holden. So they brought the house in.
There was a time
and
in
you'd
history
never
when
know.
you were a young kid, was
Yeah,
there?
you'd never know that house wasn't constructed there. What's that? Shook me at the foundation, indeed. God, he'd never make us a teacher because the kids would moan him out of the classroom.
They would eat him alive for that, yeah. He is our pundit
I'm just kidding.
though.
I'm just kidding, Councillor Ledwell. All right, Your Worship, the next item for us is another application from the property owner of 12 Rideau Place regarding the operating of a family childcare business for up to 6 children out of the house there at that particular cul-de-sac. In terms of the application with respect to the urban and regional plan, there's no issue. the Mount Pearl Municipal Plan of 2010. It's located within the designation of residential, so this complies with our residential municipal plan policies. With respect to our Mount Pearl Development Regulations of 2010, however, this subject property is residential single unit detached, and under this designation, the proposed family childcare business is a discretionary use, which of course required public notification. We went through the due process that we always do, whereby we put a notice in the telegram, put it on our website, sent out notices to 68 properties within a 150-meter radius of the subject property. We did have a briefing session scheduled for January the 12th of 2016. However, we received no feedback, so the briefing session was cancelled. Looking at this from the planning department's perspective, from our city inspectors, from municipal enforcement, the department doesn't see any problem with this. There's no issue with parking. There will be adequate parking there. It's in the bulb of a cul-de-sac, so there's not going to be a massive traffic issue or traffic concerns. So as such, the committee is recommending the approval of the application to occupy a portion of the existing dwelling, again at 12 Rideau Place, for this family care use to be approved, and that we issue a development permit. And I so move.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Contrary minded, the motion is carried.
Next item, Your Worship, are the two development permits that were issued between January the 11th to the 22nd of 2016, and I move that this list be accepted as presented.
Moved, seconded, all in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Building construction for residential for December 14th to the 31st of 2015. Total for this period was $181,500, and I move that this amount be accepted as presented.
All in favor? Contrary minded, carried.
Commercial building construction during the same time period, December 14th to the 31st,
Yeah,
$8,300.
Say she's loaded right down there, hey?
She did. Came to a
$8
halt,
grand.
and I so move.
All those in favor? Contrary minded, carried.
Let's jump to the next time frame. Residential building construction from January the 11th to January 22nd of 2016. None to report, but during the same time, commercial building construction totaled $32,400. And again, I move that that amount be accepted as presented.
Moved, seconded, all in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
And that's it for us, Your Worship.
That
Thank you.
concludes planning. We are up to new business. Deputy Mayor.
Well, let's jump right into a planning form here that all council has received prior to the meeting.
Yep.
And this, Your Worship, has to do with the very successful Universal Design Workshop that our planning department hosted here at the city on Thursday, January the 21st of 2016. We had a total of 45 participants in attendance. And again, the day was seen as a huge success. We had the representative, you were there, Mayor Sims, that brought greetings on behalf of the city. We had our MHA in attendance, Paul Lane, members of 3 levels of government. We had representatives from community, advocacy, user groups, the construction industry, from different professional associations, and members of the public participated in the presentations and the discussions. So again, this was Universal Design. Going forward now, we're going to issue a report from this to sort of compile, summarize all the great ideas that were raised here, and then of course that'll come back to the planning committee, and then we'll look at steps going forward now to adopt and incorporate some of these suggestions into our planning procedures as we move forth. And Your Worship, I know I wasn't able to attend, again due to work commitments, and I know that several councillors as well due to work commitments couldn't attend, but my understanding is, Your Worship, that you attended in the morning session.
I did,
and is
yes.
there anything that you wish to speak further to it, or?
No, other than my greetings constituted a challenge and questions and answers and opened the debate. And I was impressed with how particularly engaged everyone was, right from like the banging of the gavel, right from good morning everybody, welcome to the workshop. Mr. Yefchak actually started the thing off, and it just went gangbusters from there. These stakeholders were real stakeholders. They were truly engaged in the process. I missed Mr. Huzzy's speech, by the way, at lunchtime.
Okay.
I'm told he was fabulous. People that were there told me that after the fact that he was really good. So all in all, I'm intrigued by where we're taking it. I hope other municipalities are watching what we're doing. That's
Right.
all. Yeah.
Right. Some were in attendance. 2 municipalities were in attendance.
We're actually there with us, so this is good stuff.
Well, it is good stuff, and you made a point earlier, Worship, with the visually impaired, you know, and that's the beauty of undertaking such workshops where you get all these stakeholders in. It's always so enlightening because you see a different perspective that, again, you as a person who is not visually impaired or mobility challenged, that you, and I always go back to when that lady asked me to go for a ride with
Actually,
her,
I
in a little
told
scooter.
that. Actually, I told your story.
Yeah.
In my opening remarks.
Yeah. So you know the old saying,
to the
walk a
group.
mile in my shoes, well, ride a mile in my scooter, and you really see the challenges that residents, are confronted with, that we take for granted. You know, so I think it's wonderful. I'm looking forward to the report coming back to our committee, and then we'll happily bring the issue forward, Your Worship.
Wonderful. I think it's excellent. Anybody else with a comment on that? Councillor Tessier?
Mine was in overdrive today. There's a house in my neighborhood that a young man lived in that was in a motorized wheelchair. So I remember it was a real novelty when you'd go up because all the floors were kind of like this rubberized material that gripped onto the wheels. Every doorway was a specific width. There was push buttons. There was an elevator. There is an elevator. There's an elevator in a house in my neighborhood. And the bathrooms, even the sinks, like had this sloping, grating thing underneath the sink. So your cupboards were somewhere else. And I remember just thinking, my gosh, it must take so much to design a house to make it possible for a wheelchair to get around. Now, an elevator, let's face it, it's a 2-story, 3-story house. I mean, most people who require wheelchairs or walkers will have one level. But I remember thinking, how many times did I think what it must entail to build a house so that somebody in a wheelchair can actually use the whole house. And back then that was a real novelty. So I think it's just so exciting that we're looking at things like that becoming standard. I think that's going to be standard, or hopefully could be standard in most homes, so that you can consider that. That way, if you do end up, with some kind of mobility challenge or any kind of physical challenge that makes it more difficult to get around your home, traditionally, in the homes that most of us have now, won't be a barrier. And I think that's really exciting.
I think one of the things you're going to find is that there's not just the issue of the city being challenged to come up with some kind of regulatory format to apply to universal design in our community to make both private and public spaces even more inclusive or more accessible. I think what's going to come out of our workshop, and I think we'll see it in the final report as well, is there is a need for some real serious education around this, particularly with builders, and I don't mean builders in the sense of the construction trades, though there's some of that required, with people who are building a home, who say to themselves, I'm young, I'm viral, I'm here for the next, virile I should say, I'm here for the next 30 years, it's all good, without ever realizing that 8 weeks with a broken leg, a knee operation, a hip replacement, having to use a walker, having somebody come to your home that finds themselves mobility challenged or visually challenged all becomes important. And I think there's a place for us in that education field when somebody comes in to pull permits, to do things, to build new houses, to say, well, have a look at this. This is something you should talk to your designers about or whatever, because most of us, if we've got a 36-inch door in our lives, everywhere on our house, if they were all 36 inches, within a day, none of us would remember they're 36 inches. That's right. It's not till you're sitting in a chair and you got to get from the living room to the dining room that the 36 inches becomes an important matter. Or designing a bathroom so that a typical wheelchair can actually turn around. All of that kind of stuff is the kind of stuff I'd like us to capture somehow. And, so it was a tremendous workshop. I really do think it was good. Councillor Stoyles, and then we'll return to the Deputy Mayor.
I want to speak to it too, because we don't have to go too far. One of our own staff, Leo Lane, who worked with the city, had to have a new house built after his accident here at the city.
That's right.
He had to move homes and move to Westbrook Landing, and he had a wheelchair accessible home built for him and his family.
Because they couldn't adapt the house he was in.
Because he couldn't adapt in the house he was in. But Newfoundland Labrador Housing also has programs for people who become disabled, for a wheelchair. Another one of our own, Richard Lavagny, just had a wheelchair accessible unit put in his own house, because everything is on one level. They're going to actually change his doors so he can get his wheelchair and everything in. So there's funding out there for people who have disabilities that need this work done. Newfoundland Labrador Housing has a program that they offer to people for this. And I just want to mention that we don't have to go too far to find people in our own community, in our own neighborhoods that need these things done every other day.
Okay, yep, thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
All right, Your Worship. The next item has to do, you made reference to it, our fellow councillor John Walsh, his mother passed away yesterday quite unexpectedly and suddenly.
Listen, it was a, I don't know about the rest of you, but it was a shock to me.
Absolutely.
Because it just
right.
was not expected. I mean, I know
Absolutely.
the lady, and there was no indication of any.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
But just a sweet lady that just had such a zest for life and always looking out for other people, and just a lovely lady to sit down and have a cup of tea with, and share a story. And so I just wanted to publicly extend, sympathies to Councillor Walsh and his, I think, 5 sisters he has, and all of his family for the loss. She was a great lady, and she'll be.
Hold on,
dearly
stop
missed.
the clock. He has no brothers?
No. Yeah.
He's got 5 sisters in his life. Make no wonder he's spoiled.
5 or 6, I'm not sure.
The woman looked at him every single time.
Yeah, make no wonder he's spoiled.
Yeah, spoiled rotten. And last item for me, Your Worship, to end on a positive note, you may have seen in the paper there last week our female Youth of the Year, and I'm sure you remember her name.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay.
You want to challenge me on that,
yes,
do you?
well.
Nobahar Hasnan.
That's right. Nobahar is...
he doesn't realize that I did that already today. So.
Yes, yeah.
I'm up on this.
Okay, so you knew about the Lauren Scholarship.
What did I say today? Did I not?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm ahead of you.
I just want to say publicly.
Yeah, absolutely, do it.
4,300 applicants from across the country.
I didn't know that.
$100,000 scholarship.
I said 60.
No,
you got it right. I got it wrong.
100,000. It was for student leadership. It's not all academics. It's leadership, making a difference in their community. So we know that Nobahar, when you look at her resume, she's an amazing young lady.
It's pretty impressive.
So they narrowed it down from 4,300. She's one of 80 finalists in the country. She and another gentleman from Gonzaga. So they're going to, I think, to Montreal in the middle of February, going up for the next phase of it. So I just wanted to acknowledge that publicly. She's an amazing young lady.
She really is.
And kudos to her for all that she does for the city. She's on the youth action team. She chairs the environmental and cause for concern committee at the school. She sits on, I think, a provincial advisory committee for youth with the province. So she's a great seamstress and sews her own clothes, and sewed her dress last year that she wore to the Focus on Youth Awards. So I just wanted to mention that publicly. She's an amazing.
How do you know this stuff?
Well,
oh, you must teach her.
Yeah, I don't teach her, but she's a senior high student. So
okay.
So that's it.
That's why the bragging is going on.
Right. No, I
We're
wanted
an
to.
O'Donnell High kid. You'd say, "Oh yeah, that kid got."
That's unfair. That is unfair. I always acknowledge both schools. I do. Anyways, that's it, Your Worship.
That is wonderful.
Note. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. That is wonderful. Councillor Stiles.
I too want to pass on my sympathies to the Walsh family. Known Betty for quite a long time, and all the family, and certainly want to pass on my sympathies. And just a little tidbit: Mrs. Walsh was Miss Golden Girl. She won Miss Mount, the seniors Golden. We used to have Miss Mount Pearl, and then we had a seniors competition on, and Mrs. Walsh was the first one to win that.
I never knew that.
So
there you go. Who knew that?
She
was Miss Golden Girl.
I don't know what it was called.
Don't know what the title was.
Miss Golden Years. I know it was Miss. It wasn't Miss Golden Girl. It was Miss Golden Years. They had it for part of Frosty Festival, and we used to have the Miss Mount Pearl pageant at the same time. And they started doing that, and of course all that has gone.
By the wayside.
When we started, but it was a while ago. I think she was probably in her mid-60s, or late 60s, and I mean she's 90 now. She had her 90th birthday.
Yeah.
So very, very fine lady. Also, I wanted to mention the Outlook Lunch Day, as it was mentioned. Great job, a great engage in the community and with the business community, and great for the chamber to be doing that as well. And the only other thing I wanted to mention was tonight was I guess a bit of news that was in the news the past week or so concerning Councillor Galgate, when he's talking about the Team Goujo Highway and the cost share that they're looking at bringing a motion in. He is looking at bringing a motion in the council that the city will not be part of that again. And I mean, you're looking at an estimate of $1 million that the city had agreed to paying for the cost share and the maintenance of the Team Goujo Highway. So I know, as one councillor, I'm delighted to see that they're looking at making changes. That because we never ever wanted to be part of it, and we never felt that why should Mount Pearl or St. John's, any municipal, Southern Shore, every municipality in this region, if it was going to be divided up, should have been part of it. So I'm glad to see St. John's, some councillors there taking this stand. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Councillor Tessier?
Yep. Mrs. Walsh, I got to say, I mean, isn't it wonderful to say that at 90 years old we're all shocked?
Yes, that's true.
You know, it is wonderful. At 90 years old we're all shocked, and we are shocked. She always had such zest and always smiling and always done up like a stick of gum. Mm-hmm. She always looked so good all the time. Anyway, she's a tremendous woman. She will very much be missed. And yes, John is the only son. And again, could you not see that whenever she looked at her boy? Really? Oh my gosh, it was
that
amazing.
That explains it, is what you say.
That explains it. In our public works agenda, we talked about snow clearing and safety concerns and all that. Just a quick reminder to residents to please, please, please not shovel or snow blow or push snow onto our sidewalks or our city streets for all of the good reasons that would follow, all the safety reasons. We want our sidewalks as clear as possible. If we're clearing them with our snowplow operators or our sidewalk blowers, we want to make sure that they stay cleared, particularly in school zones. But we want to make sure that our pedestrian traffic has as much safety as it possibly can. And again, snow blowing into the streets is prohibited, and we want to make sure that people are very well aware of that all the time. We're not at a point where people will find it difficult to find a place for the snow. We're definitely not there, thank goodness. So again, it's just a reminder to our residents to make sure that everybody does their own part to get us through the frustrating winter season.
Do we not have more snow coming tonight and a storm on the weekend?
A storm on Friday, I believe.
I'm sorry? It's rain tonight, is it?
Rain tonight. Now that's the other side of it. That's the other side of it. We're going to get some rain.
Yeah,
we're going to get mild temperatures, and then it's going to get cold again. So we all know what that means.
Yep.
We all know
More
what
salt.
that means. That means ice, ice, ice everywhere. So be very ice, ice, baby. So everybody's got to be, very careful with that. I mean, we're going to do what we can as a city, but everybody also has a role to play. We all have a role to play in winter safety and with snow clearing. So I just wanted to issue that reminder again.
Did you see that thing on Facebook about the storm that hit New York and Boston?
Yeah.
They had a picture on it that said, in Boston, they call this the biggest storm of the history. In Newfoundland, we call it Wednesday. Anyway, where are we? Councillor Aker?
Only one thing, you're right. I too want to join my colleagues wishing the Walsh family condolences for the loss of Betty. Betty always had a twinkle in her eye. She always had something positive to say, and she was very, very proud of her kids, and I'm sure her kids are very, very
With
proud
all
of
good
her
reason,
too.
by the way.
With
She
very
raised a
good
wonderful
reason.
family.
So, condolences out to the family, and that's it, Your Worship. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Ledwell?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things. Of course, I too want to extend condolences to John and his family. It was surprising, indeed, and that is a great thing, as Councillor Tessier said. It's funny. I've known John's family for quite a while through my involvement at St. Peter's Parish, and I remember his father singing in the choir at every special occasion and so on and so forth. And I remember every time I would see Mrs. Walsh, she'd always say to me, "Say hi to all the crowd up at St. Peter's for me, will you?" She never forgot the parish and the people in it. So I would definitely bet that the crowd from St. Peter's will be out to see her this week.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. Just want to make note, you'll see on your desks, council and staff, that the Focus on Youth Awards are coming around again. I just want to highlight that very quickly. The deadline for nominations is the 29th of February, so I certainly want to encourage all of our organizations to nominate a deserving young person. Way back in the day, in 1999, I won a couple of these, and when I think back that was 16 years ago, that makes me feel a little old. But certainly there are an awful lot of young people in the city today that are doing things that blew what I do or blows what I do out of the water. So let's have a number of those young people be nominated this year. And finally, Your Worship, I just want to congratulate you on a fine performance once again today. Certainly the outlook for our city is great, and a lot of that has to do with your leadership. So congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, thank you very much. I want to pass on congratulations to the Chamber for doing a good job. I like the setting today, by the way. We moved it to, it was up at the Track and Field Club, and it was a nice spot to do it. Nothing else to add to anything other than to make reference to an item in the news that impacts on us a little bit, and that is the current, I'll call it, controversy over the Grand Concourse Authority that is underway. And as we know, there is a personnel battle now, and a personal battle that seems to be brewing between our colleague, the mayor of St. John's, and the executive director or CEO of the Grand Concourse Authority. I'm recommending that we are not going to engage or get involved in that in any particular way. We are members of the Grand Concourse. We admire the organization. I certainly feel that they have made significant contribution in this region, and I hope that they can continue to do so. In fairness to our colleagues, though, on St. John City Council, I have never met, despite some of the criticism that I'm hearing about in all manners of things relating to cuts and so on, be it what they talked about from the arts community to the SPCA, and now this particular cut that's caused this breakout, this damaged relationship between the City of St. John's and the Grand Concourse over potential cuts there. I have never met a politician of any stripe or on any level that like to cut anything. So the City of St. John's, in all fairness to them, it is fair to say they did not do this because they felt that they were taking some action to punish some group, or they're doing this to try and manage and contain cost on their budget. That should be recognized right from the get-go by everybody, including those at the Grand Concourse who would offer criticism of what they've done. Fair enough. If they can roll it back or make the decision to change it like they did with others, fair enough. That's a decision internal to them, and I don't think we're going to say yay or nay about good idea, bad idea to cut funding for the Grand Concourse. I do want to say this, though, to Council, and I think it should be our stand throughout this. Grand Concourse was created in 1994. Paul Johnson and his family and his vision for the concourse is what drove it and made it happen. The fact that he had the wherewithal and the means to be able to drive that kind of community initiative forward is something that he will always be remembered for. His legacy stands that his name is on the Johnson Geo Center, that he has contributed huge amounts to the Grand Concourse and the building of those trailways and things in our community. I think, though, that since 1994, after all of these years, this presents a unique opportunity for the Grand Concourse to have a little introspection and maybe do a little review. I'm going to recommend as a member to our board member, who's one of our senior staff, that the message that we bring at their next meeting, when the board of directors will have to discuss all of this, is that it's time they perhaps looked at engaging in a new strategic planning process, review the act, review their bylaws, review the relationship between management and their staff, the relationship between the board and the members, which us as municipalities are a part of, have a look at their ongoing mission for what they wish to accomplish in the future, recognize that you're now working in a different environment than the environment that existed as little as 2 or 3 years ago, and that we all have to set our sails accordingly. And I would say that that's something that's important for the Grand Concourse. We as a city have had to do that in our budgetary cycle this time around. I'm anticipating in 2016 going into 2017 we may see more of that. These are troubling times. Everybody working together on this would be a lot better than everybody tearing each other apart. So I'm going to say, as a member of the Grand Concourse, to our representative, which is Mr. Antle, and to the board, through this means that I believe they will never find a better opportunity than now to say, you know what, let's rework this a little bit. Let's do a new strategic plan. Let's do phase 2 of what the Grand Concourse Authority is to be, because it's a valuable asset that doesn't exist in any other community. And Mr. Johnson basically gave us that. And to the best we can, we should protect it, nourish it, but make sure it's doing the right things in the right manner in recognition of the climate in which we all work. Having the mayor of the capital city and an organization like this going at each other in the public, it's uncomfortable, to say the least. And I think some of that might be a result of a changing time with an organization and a membership that hasn't changed with those times a little bit. That's why I say a strategic plan. So my only comments on it. Anybody else have a comment on it? Thank you for everything else today, everybody. Great meeting. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Councillor Stoyles, we stand adjourned. Thank you.